Hey, Mark Safe here again. In our last lesson, we talked about how being greedy can end up costing you big pots when you flop a set in position. The same is true when you flop a set out of position, and in this lesson, we're going to give you some strategies that will give you the best chances to have your set hold up when you're the first to act in a hand. In our last lesson, we proved that Gordon Gekko was wrong when he said greed is good, at least when it comes to flopping sets in position. The fact is, greed isn't good when you're out of position either. Let's use the same hand example from our last lesson where you raised pre-flop with pocket nines and flopped a set on a board of ace-9-3 rainbow. That's pretty uncoordinated. Since checking after raising pre-flop would be suspicious, the best play is to go ahead and make a standard c-bet. You'll be surprised at how often your opponent will try to call you and then float, or better yet, raise you with a worse hand in that spot. If your opponent raises, you should call and bet again on the turn. If he raises again, you can raise him all in most likely, especially if a scary card falls to bring a straight or flush draw. If you weren't the pre-flop raiser, you actually have two choices here. Against an aggressive or sophisticated opponent, you should lead out because they will likely read your bet as being weak and either re-raise you to push you off your hand or call in an attempt to float and raise you off your hand when you bet again on the turn. Against weaker opponents, you should check your hand and then just flat call when they c-bet the flop. If the turn card isn't scary, you can check again in hopes that they will make another bet. But if they check behind you, then you can bet the river and your opponent will most likely put you on a bluff and call you if they have any sort of hand at all. If the turn is scary or your opponent is aggressive, you should bet. If the board is more coordinated, say that board of 10 of clubs, 9 of clubs, 5 of diamonds from our last lesson, there is absolutely no reason to slow play something like a set of nines. If you were the pre-flop raiser in the hand, then checking on this kind of scary board can be very dangerous, especially if your opponent checks behind. In that case, you've just given him a free card with which to make his straight or flush, and unless the board paired, you're going to have a really hard time making any kind of bet with your set. Instead, make sure you lead out on this kind of board and make your opponents pay to see the next card. If you weren't the pre-flop raiser and you hit your set on a board of 10 of clubs, 9 of clubs, 5 of diamonds, check raising is the best play. Since your opponent raised before the flop, you know it's likely they will c-bet and give you an opportunity to make a big re-raise that can help you win the hand right there and then. Remember, when you re-raise in this spot, you want to make a pot size bet or move all in depending on your stack size.